God, I wish I had some whiskey right now. Before we get to today's video, I want to take a moment to talk about Patreon. That's right, we are on Patreon now, and we have a bunch of tiers with a bunch of great rewards. You can subscribe and get things like early access to all reactions, depending on your tier, depends on which reactions you get early access to. You can vote on polls exclusive to patrons that will help determine future reaction series and more. You will get to just have various choices in terms of like getting to choose future reactions I react to, getting to choose first impressions I check out, all kinds of different rewards, and possibly more coming in the future. We're still new at this. We're still figuring things out. It's a process. It's a process. But we have multiple tiers, so whatever you would be able to donate, if you're able and willing to donate, is appreciated. It helps me out, it helps the channel out, it helps us grow. It's going to help just, standardly. It's just something new to check out. Plus, if you like getting the reactions early, that's also a plus. But it is optional. If you're unable to do it, that's completely fine. All reactions will come to YouTube just a little bit later, a week later or so. So, that all being said, thank you as always so much, and let's get on with today's video. And with that being said, hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Season 2, Episode 3 of the One Piece live action, Into the Grand Line. Last time was a very emotional episode. It was Laboon. We had Laboon, we had Crocus, we had the flashback with Brooke and the Rumbar Pirates. It was very emotional. And I knew it was gonna be. I absolutely knew it would get to me. I knew it would make me cry. It was something I was very well prepared for. Because I've seen One Piece multiple times. It's not like I've just watched through it once and just been done with it. No, I've watched through a good amount of One Piece many, many times. Remember, keep in mind that, as I've said in the past, I started watching One Piece when the 4Kids dub originally came out. That was like, what, 2004? It's been over 2 decades since I've started watching One Piece the first time. And I've seen, like, most of the pre-time skip. I would say at least a dozen times. That's insane. The only exceptions in terms of the anime would be, like, filler arcs and stuff. But, like, the canon material, I've seen, like, that many times. And I'm saying at least because I don't know the exact amount. It's over a dozen, I know that. And yeah, some of those times have been with other people's reactions, of course. But a lot of those have also been on my own or with my sister. Because normally, with a lot of shows, a lot of movies and stuff, I don't rewatch a lot. Unless it's with reactions or with my sister. When I'm on my own, I usually just don't rewatch much of anything. I just don't feel a huge need. It's the same reason for, like, not replaying video games. I don't see the point. I already know what's going to happen. Why would I bother? The only reason I rewatch or replay things with, like, reactors or Let's Players or whatnot are because I'm watching for their reactions to things, to see how they react to certain moments. I'm not watching for what they're reacting or playing, what they're reacting to or playing. I'm watching for them. So it really has to be something special for me to be willing to watch it more times on my own. Like, there's some shows that I have watched multiple times on my own, like The Owl House. But then there's others that I've only seen, like, once or twice, period, like Amphibia. And again, one of those times was with my sister. So, it just depends on the show, and One Piece is one of those that I have watched multiple times on my own because I do like it that much. But I've also seen it in different contexts too. I've seen it in the sub, the dub, the 4Kids dub, and now the live action. And the live action is, I saw someone put it this way, and I think it's a really great way to describe it. Watching the live action as a lifelong fan of One Piece is the only way you can conceivably rewatch the series with fresh eyes. Even with the different dubs and stuff, this is the only way you can really truly watch the series again with fresh eyes. Like, you know what's going to happen, but there's so many changes, so many differences, so many like rearrangements that it feels like a wholly new experience. Plus, you're seeing it through, the lens of live action, seeing how they are able to portray things with, real people rather than animation. You also have just, certain elements that you would think wouldn't work as well in live action, seeing like the crew and the people who are making this pull it off in such dynamic ways. It's a lot of the same experience in terms of what's actually occurring, but it's a new experience in terms of how you're taking that in, how you're experiencing the experience. And that's such a fascinating like way to look at it, because it is like watching One Piece again for the first time. And it's just so cool getting to do that as a lifelong fan, as someone who's been following this series for over 2 decades, who has watched every dub of the anime, who has watched um almost all of the movies, who has read a good portion of the manga, not all of it, but a good portion of it, played many games, and so on and so forth, collected cards. It's it's something that I would never have thought would work. You would have thought this would have ended up like Dragon Ball Evolution or the live action Cowboy Bebop, where it just doesn't work. And not because of the source material not possibly working in live action, but because the people making it wouldn't understand how to make it live action and wouldn't understand how to like really respect the source material. But luckily, the creators of this show are fans, and they worked directly alongside Eiichiro Oda to make sure this is as accurate as possible, while making some sometimes necessary, sometimes just positive changes that actually, in a lot of ways, improve on things. And one of those changes I definitely want to talk about here real quick. I know we're already going quite a bit in terms of time, but one of the things that I've been seeing on social media lately, I feel like this is being sparked up more than it did in season one. People have been saying on social media lately that Taz Skylar's portrayal of Sanji is not accurate to the manga and anime. and that they don't like that he is not accurate. And it's like, I think the sentiment was along the lines of he hardly smokes. You could see both of his eyes. He hardly wears suits. He he's not charming. And what was the last point they tried to make? There's one more. Oh, and he's not like constantly thirsting over girls and Nami in particular and whatnot. They use different terminology there, but that was the general idea. And it's like most of those are true. But those changes actually have made Sanji a good character. I've made no secret that Sanji in the manga and anime is a character who I think is extremely poorly handled. He has amazing potential that is squandered with his lovesick and perverted gimmick. And I'm not afraid to criticize parts of this story. As much as One Piece is my favorite piece of media of all time, I'm not afraid to criticize when I think Oda does something wrong. Because no series is perfect. And I believe even the best series need to be criticized when you think there is something wrong with it. I don't believe that pretending everything is perfect helps with anything. And I don't expect like me criticizing it to change anything. Unfortunately, I don't think that's ever going to happen, especially this late into the series. But I'll just say Sanji in the live action is probably my favorite Straw Hat in the live action so far. And it's not even close. Like, I like Iñaki Godoy. I like McKenyu. I like Emily Rudd. I like Jacob Gibson. I like all of them. They're all fantastic. But Taz Skylar is his version of Sanji here is everything that is good about the character and nothing that is bad about him. They take away all of the negatives of Sanji's character in the manga and anime and heighten all of the positives. Sanji is just absolutely the best of the Straw Hats in this version. And the one point that they very much got wrong, the people who are like lobbying these complaints, is when they say he's not charming, because that's bullshit. He actually is charming. Manga and anime Sanji isn't. Most of the time. There's a couple occasions where he's a bit charming. Like the Mr. Prince portion in Alabasta. Which I'm hoping they still do next season. Because Alabasta is going to be season 3. I'm hoping they do the Mr. Prince portion there. That would be fun. But, yeah. I genuinely think Sanji has been like the most consistently great part of this. And amongst all of the consistently great parts of this. Like, I can give you like literally a scene from episode 1 as an example. Episode 1 of this season as an example to why I like him so much. There's the scene before they're going to Logtown. It's Nami, Usopp, and Sanji talking about like having to go, how to go shopping and everything. Usopp doesn't want to go to Logtown because of the like marine base thing and threat of death. And Sanji like sidles up to Nami. It's like, oh, you've been through a lot. You deserve to get something nice for yourself. Do something nice for yourself for once. And she's like, yeah, I would like to go shopping. And Usopp's response to like Nami falling into this is like, curse you and your chiseled jawline and your charm and your ocean eyes, and you see the way that Taz Skylar laughs at that moment. It almost feels like that was genuine, like that wasn't scripted for him to laugh there, but he just kind of broke at the humor of the line and the way Jacob performed it. It felt so genuine and charming and real that it's just like I kind of fell for him at that moment. Especially on I've rewatched episode 1 a few times because of reactions, and it's just like I honestly, I'm very much in on the live action Sanji side of things. Like, there's a lot of actors who are very attractive in this, but Taz Skylar is winning me over. He's very, very pretty. I'm very into him. And mind you, I guess you could say that started with season 1, was seeing his abs and everything after he rescued Luffy from drowning. That was nice, but but yeah, in all seriousness, it was like, it was a moment of like great charm, and it even directly states how charming it was with Usopp's line. And again, his laugh afterwards was like so genuine and adorable, and it felt so real. Again, I don't know if that was part of the script or if that was like kind of ad-libbed. He just genuinely laughed because of Usopp's line, Jacob's line read there. But I would believe you if you told me it was like a spur of the moment thing. But yeah, it's like I'm just really loving this, and I just wanted to talk about that. But yeah, I think we should get into today's episode because we're heading to Whiskey Peak, and I'm very excited to see the battle between ZORO and Baroque Works. So let's get into. Oh, and also another scene I'm excited for. I'll save that for the beginning of the reaction. Let's get this started and hope for the best. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. Welcome to the Afterthoughts. We'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. And I'm going to give a little extra warning to skip ahead like a minute or two here. Because if you want to, if you're really like wanting to avoid like some major spoilers for the anime, the manga and the anime, and possibly for this series, I would suggest just skipping ahead. I'll keep it brief. It'll be like, again, just 1 or 2 minutes. So an extra spoiler warning in 3, 2, 1, now. Is Igaram dead? Because in the original manga and anime, Igaram's death was faked by Miss All Sunday. And so I'm wondering, with it happening in this version from Mr. Five's blood bomb, I'm wondering if it's going to stick this time, or if he will make a return next season in Alabasta. Because they did end up killing off Mary in season 1, like, for good, which was different than in the manga and anime. So I'm just genuinely curious if this one's going to stick as well, or if this one will be reversed and Igaram will come back. I could see either way, honestly. But that being said, let's get into the rest of this outside of just those spoilers and that talk. So this episode was pretty fantastic. It was just Absolutely enjoyable from start to finish. If I were to say, like, comparative to the first two episodes, I still think I liked episode 1 of the season the most. Um, just the kinetic energy of it, the constant excitement and, like, reveals and moments. It just really felt grander. And it was the first episode of the season, so it absolutely should. Starting off the season in a very strong way makes sense. Um, but it's not to, like, take anything away from episodes 2 or 3. Just because this episode may not have been as good as episode 1 doesn't mean it still wasn't great. It was fantastic. In fact, I would say this is the second best episode so far. I would, at least off of this initial viewing, put it above the Laboon episode, which almost kind of sucks to say because the Laboon episode had so much emotion to it. But it was also a lot slower. Like, episode 1 was very fast paced, a lot of, like, again, frantic kinetic action. Episode 2 was a lot slower, a lot more simple, and it was more about the emotional weight of it all. Now this episode, like, builds it back up with the reveals, with the big moments, especially at the end, the fight, ZORO versus the 100 Baroque Works agents. It's bringing it back up, and I think we're going to continue to go in kind of a direction similar to that moving forward, knowing what I know is coming. But I'm excited because even if episode 2 was the weakest of the season, I would still put it above a lot of season 1. And that's a good thing. If the weakest episode of this season so far is still much better than a good portion of the entire first season, save for maybe a couple episodes here and there, that's a big deal. This entire season has, like, been knocking out of the park with this knocking out of the park with the sets, the costumes, the increased budget. It's just felt grander, and it absolutely should, because this is into the grand line. We're entering that second stage of this journey. One Piece is kind of, like, organized almost by the different stages of Luffy and the crew's journey. You have the East Blue, you have the Grand Line, and then you have the New World. And each stage should be bigger and grander and more extravagant than the next. And so far, they're pulling this off excellently. I think they're doing a fantastic job at, like, really capturing that vibe, that feeling. And I'm very excited to see how they continue to do so throughout the rest of this season and into the next. Because, again, for the rest of this season, at this point, we're going to be doing Little Garden and Drum Island. And we have 5 episodes left. I still think Little Garden is going to be the next 2 episodes, and Drum Island will be the final 3. That seems to be the best course for the pacing, because Drum Island definitely needs more episodes than Little Garden, and I think 3 episodes for that would make the most sense. I just can't see Little Garden needing 3. That wouldn't make a lot of sense to me. But Drum Island would. And then next season, we already know is going to be Alabasta. And I'm assuming the entire season is going to be. I don't think we're going to get anything else, which is good. I think having the entire season focused on Alabasta would make the most sense here. So we're kind of, like, building up to that. And I'm very hyped to see what comes next, because next episode, we're going to start getting into some really good stuff. I already know some of the stuff that's coming from the trailer. We've had some setups in this episode with like the likes of the Unluckies, and it's like I said it in the reaction. I'm very excited for the Unluckies just because um I did not expect them to be included in this. But also, interestingly, in the manga and anime, the Unluckies actually first appear in Whiskey Peak. There's even this one scene where uh Mr. Oh, what's the number? 13. Yeah, because the Unluckies are Friday the 13th. There's Mr. 13 and Miss Friday. Yeah, Mr. 13 um draws pictures of the crew and shows them to Nami, and Nami's like clapping at first, but then is like freaked out because now they have their faces and all. It's actually a really funny scene. I did not expect that to be in this, but I'm actually surprised the Unluckies, considering they're being included, weren't at least shown in this episode. Which means they're only going to be in Little Garden, I presume, unless more things are changed with this. Um, but going back to the entire thing with Whiskey Peak, I really like how this was done, how welcoming Whiskey Peak was, the celebration. There were some really fun moments that changed things up a little bit, because I believe in the manga and anime, the reason that Usopp and Sanji are out of commission aren't because they were lured into a trap by two beautiful twins. I believe they both basically get super drunk and food wasted and just pass out. They're just asleep the entire time. Um, so it's a bit different here. And I mentioned in the reaction, Zoro's battle with the Baroque Works agents took place throughout the town. It wasn't just in and around the one building. They went like over the rooftops and through the streets and everything. There was a lot more to it. Mr. Five and Miss Valentine also had a little bit more to do, but with this being one episode, an hour-long episode, they couldn't do too much with them here, having them arrive at the end and still kind of building through them with what we've had with the build-up from episode 1. I think still works. I think it still works. Um, I like how the instant Miss Wednesday comes back in and she does the hypnotizing dance along with Igaram's music to put Luffy to sleep. The instant Luffy's out of it, she runs to him and hugs Igaram, Mr. 8, because she's so happy to see him again, and it's like it's your first hint that there's something more to this. Before anything else, it shows that there's more to their story and more to their relationship than just being two members of Baroque Works. And it continues to reveal this pretty quickly afterwards. But I still love how they handled that. And the big switch up between Miss Wednesday and Princess Nefertari Vivi is just as well done as it is in the manga and anime. Because in the manga and anime, her switch up is very quick. It's more noticeable in the anime, of course, because of like vocal inflections and the way she reacts to things like through motion and whatnot. It's much more noticeable than in the manga where you just have the still images to go by. But in the anime, it's like the way she speaks, the way she reacts to things, the way she just acts in general is very different. Than how she acted when she was pretending to be a Baroque Works agent. And I think that Charithra Chandran, apologies if I mispronounced that, she did a fantastic job at representing that here. She feels like an entirely different person once that reveal is made. she does not even, like, the performance is completely different. She's performing the character completely differently, and that's the correct option. That's what she should be doing. And so I really, really wanted to heap some praise onto her for that. It's like she just did a fantastic job. I also like how before she and Mr. Nine separated, she made sure to show that she was going to put in a good word for him, and you saw his surprise but like happiness at that, which later led into him standing up for her in the end. It's like just that little moment that like was clearly going to come into play, that was clearly showing why he would then stand up for her in the end. It worked so well. It was just a great additional moment there that I really loved. Um, Miss All Sunday not appearing until after was an interesting choice because she normally appears like kind of at the very end of Whiskey Peak before. Again, normally she's kind of the reason for Igaram's passing there instead of Mr. Five. So they changed things up a little bit. But yeah, I'm very excited to see the beginning of next episode with that. But there was also another change that they made that I was very much noticeable because there was someone missing, and I'm wondering if they're gonna wait until next season to bring him in. Like, I'll leave it at that. Those of you One Piece fans know exactly who I'm talking about. There was someone missing who should be aboard the ship with Vivi and the Straw Hats right now. But he wasn't in this at all. So I'm wondering if they're going to wait to save that until next season and have him not appear until Alabasta. I could believe that. But if that's the case, they really do need to bring him in. Because it would be a massive mistake to leave him out of this. Massive mistake. But I could see like maybe them wanting to test the waters with Chopper a little bit before bringing him in. Not do too much in one season with that kind of stuff. Wait to see how people react to Chopper first. But we'll obviously be waiting to get to that for a bit. Um Either way, I'm just very, very happy with how this went down. The action was good. Some great moments. I like the inclusion of like the Mihawk bits kind of like plaguing Zoro's mind and him like kind of haunted by that. Haunted by his loss and needing the need to get stronger. I think that's a fun addition. I think that's a really interesting addition to this. Um, I also like that Vivi was interrupted by the arrival of Miss All Sunday before she could reveal the identity of Mr. Zero. I think that was a strong decision. Because again, that's normally revealed in Whiskey Peak. That's another thing that is normally already revealed by the point where they're on the ship. But I actually kind of like that the instant she starts to reveal it, Miss All Sunday swoops in to stop her. It's like that's a good touch. I kind of like that. So, oh, one more thing before we finish this off. I also noticed there was no marine stuff in this episode. Unlike the first two episodes, there was nothing with Smoker and Tashigi. There was nothing with Garp, Kobe, and Helmeppo. There was nothing related to that stuff at all. And I'm wondering if that's just if they're going to just be absent from the rest of the season now. I could actually see that happening. Um but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe they'll reappear. Um because there's a portion in the anime that's technically part of a cover story in the manga. that happens after the Grand Line portion starts, where it shows Kobe and Helmeppo with Garp actually transferring Axe Hand Morgan, Helmeppo's father. And I'm kind of wondering if they're going to show that scene in this or if they're just going to skip it. Again, I guess we'll have to wait and see though. I like that they included like Miss Monday. Like there was a side of me that was worried that they wouldn't include her. Didn't feel like she would be like important enough to include, but I'm glad that they did because I always liked Miss Monday. Partially because yeah, she's hugely muscular in the manga and anime. She was definitely muscular here. She definitely had like notable musculature, but she wasn't like huge. She definitely wasn't as big. And they could have gotten like bigger actresses. I'm sure. I'm sure they could have found someone, but I'm okay with it. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't hurt anything. She was still a brawler. She was still muscular. That's enough. She doesn't need to be as huge, but I just like there's a part of me that kind of wishes that they went all the way with it. But I'm okay that they didn't. I'm okay with it. They still did a good job. Mr. Getting to see more of Mr. Nine and Miss Wednesday in this as well. It's like just we get to really experience their acting more than we did in the last episode. And yeah, they just did a great job. I also love the Bye Bye Baby when from Vivi when they first leave the ship at the beginning and then from Mr. Nine at the end. It's just it's a great bookmarking or book ending rather of this episode. Having it like almost starting or at least very close to the very beginning with it and very close to the very end with it. I really like that decision. It really frames the episode well. Uh but yeah, I'm sure there's other things I could talk about like I'm glad they put the gravestones on the cactus mountains and stuff. And there's a lot like details that I really like that they kept. But I think I've shared the general thoughts, my excitement for everything, and how I like how everything was handled. I have no complaints. I very much enjoyed this one. And I think again, I think the first episode I liked a little better. Again, this is just based off initial impression on this one though. Maybe I'll end up liking this more than episode 1 after rewatches. I don't know. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Tell me what you thought of episode 3 of One Piece live action season 2. What did you think of the ZORO versus 100? What did you think of the reveal for Princess Vivi of Alabasta and Igaram as well? The final moments of Igaram taking on Mr. Five and Miss Valentine, just all of it. Let me know your thoughts down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.